Hi, I'm Sandy from Sandy Creates Cards and More, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. And today we're going to be making a card similar to this. This card features the dies from the Winter Woods bundle. In the Woods Framelit dies, which coordinates with this stamp set. We'll be using the two different tree variations, and also I've used this edge that just cuts this shape along the bottom of the page. The greeting that we're using is from Merry Christmas to All. We'll be using just the stamp, this little stamp right here, Season's Greetings. But I also wanted just to show you the Thinlit dies. These are wonderful, large Christmas greetings. I'm going to cut that out using one of the framelits from the Bunch of Banners framelits. I used this framelit here. And then I'm going to be showing you an alternative background, which I've made with this stamp from Waterfront. And I use that for a snow effect on this card. For your cardstock pieces, you're going to use a Whisper White A2 card base. For the bottom mat, I have a couple alternatives. I use for this card a piece of DSP from the Twinkle Twinkle DSP set. And even though this is a star, just because of the dark background and the dots, I also thought it sort of had a snowy look to it. And so that's what I use, but I know all of you might not have that. So I just want to, I'll show you quickly a couple alternatives that you can make just using the Night of Navy cardstock. So one of the alternatives that I did, I used an aqua painter for that. I put some Whisper White ink on a clear block, mixed some water with it, picked up some of that color, and just used the spatter technique where you're just tapping the color onto the piece of cardstock. And it gives you a very faint white. So after I did that, I went and I took my chalk marker and just filled in a couple extra little dots, just to make it look a little bit more like snow. So if you don't have the DSP, this makes a good alternative background for you. And then a third option was using that stamp from the Waterfront stamp set. And this might be a little bit more white snow effect than you want, but we're going to pick between one of these three options for this card today. And so I stamped with Versamark ink across this whole upper part of the card, and used white embossing powder and heat embossed that. And it also gives a really nice, in this case, snowy effect. So of the three choices that we have, just try our die cuts. So I've pre-cut those for us. We have the tree, we have the base, and I might line this up a little bit different just because of the way I cut today. And I really think just 3 of these trees, or even 2, could work well on this card. I really didn't like the way I overlapped them there. And so I think I might like that option better. Or I still might do could do one on one side and two on the other, but not overlapping them. And then one of the other things that when I put this card together the last time, I left the long trunks of the tree underneath this mat. And I don't think you can see it too much in the card, but I could see them raised up if I look closely. And so I probably would trim those off when I attach them to the card. So using the season greeting stamps that I showed you earlier, I have stamped and die cut the sentiment for this card. So this is how it would look on the first option, the DSP. Let's see what we think on the second option, which is something I think everybody could easily recreate. So once those trees are on, it really does have very much the same effect. And once you've placed the trees, you could go back and again use that chalk marker, and I would probably fill in a couple more dots. Let's take a look at our third option. So that is a really, really strong snowy effect. And I kind of like that as well. Well, I think because this with the spatter might be the easiest option for everybody to create, I think we might just use that. I'm just using a fine tipped glue bottle. It's got Tombow glue in it. I'm gonna, as I put these on, I'm putting them at different heights. Don't want them all lined up across the top. Just drop this one down a little bit. A little, just a tad bit higher on the card. Yeah, that would work. So I am going to take my snips and just cut off some of this extra stem. Now the larger tree die cut has these little folds. You're just going to kind of lift those up with your fingers and just curl them up a little bit. Just give some added dimension. When I put the glue on this, I'm making sure that I don't put glue on those flaps. I don't want the flaps themselves to stick to the card. Before we put that on, we better put our base on. So I'm lining it up on the one edge, dropping it down a little bit. I'm going to cover the base of all of those trunks. And then again, we'll just trim that with our scissors. Everything a little straight, and again I'm just rubbing around the outside edge there. And I just put a little bit of glue on these trees. It gives, again, if some of those move a little bit, it gives it a little bit extra dimension instead of being flat to the card. If you have any problems, you can always go back and dab a little bit of glue. I think for this card, the way I have the trees laid out, that I think we're going to just place that. And I'm not going to trim it to the edge like I did the other one. That looks pretty straight. And again, I'm just going to go back, and now that I have those trees placed, dab a little bit more of that white chalk marker for snow effects. The only other thing that I did using Night of Navy ink, because we're going to be laying this on a white card base, I wanted to have a little bit of definition on that bottom. I'm just taking my dauber and just applying a thin line of navy. It'll give it some contrast where it meets that card base. There and there. And we'll go ahead and attach that. snail to our card. I hope you enjoyed this video and will give this card layout a try. As always, I will have a full material list in the description box below my video, plus links to my stamping website, my blog, and my Pinterest page. Thanks for watching and have a great day. I did want to just take a second to show you that spatter effect. So I thought I would add this to the video at the end, just in case you haven't done this before. So again, I've got Whisper White ink, water aqua painter. I usually tap that against something. So it's a pretty easy process. And you just stop when you have an amount that you're comfortable with. And especially since we can go back with the chalk marker afterwards and add some extra dots. And so there you go. And I thought I should also show you the stamped and heat embossed background that I showed you earlier. Again, that's using this stamp from the waterfront stamp set. So I've mounted that on a block. I have my Versamark ink. And I'm just stamping it across the card. That looks pretty well covered. Maybe one more stamp right there. Sprinkle with white embossing powder. Really covering the whole surface of the card. It'll spread. Yeah, I kind of like that coverage. Put the extra right back inside your jar. And I'm going to try to hold this up a little bit, and hopefully you can actually see as this powder melts. So that was our other alternative background. So this was our original card. This was the card that we made earlier. And I finished off the couple extra pieces. And so there's the cards we made today. Thanks.